All right, everyone, welcome back to the second edition of the Southeast Gasser Shift Points podcast. Last time that we were here, Randy joined us. He's the race director for the Southeast Gassers Association, SEGA for short. Randy is just fresh off coming back from London, Kentucky. You guys were racing up there this past weekend. I've been watching it on social media, and it looked like everyone had an absolute ball.
It was a great time. We had a rain delay of 3 hours on Saturday.
Man.
Got started at around 4.
Okay.
It started raining between 11:30 and 12.
This rain this year has been crazy. It seems like every event we try and go to, the only thing that hasn't been affected by rain was Power Tour that we went on, and that was it. Everything else has had some sort of rain, something going on.
But the track did great. Probably started drying up, clearing off around 3. By 4, we were ready to race.
Oh, wow, that was quick.
We dropped one round of qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that takes an hour or so off.
Gotcha.
And but we got it in. It's cloudy, looked like it might rain. Felt a drop or two at one time, but we rushed them through there. We rushed the guys quite a bit, but they were good with it. They didn't want to have to finish it up on Sunday or something.
Right.
But we started at 4 and finished by 8:30.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
When something like that's coming, I mean, do you guys have some thoughts? I mean, of course you have to, I guess. You have some thoughts of how you're going to handle that if something like that happens? Because we talked about last week what a tight schedule you guys run. So is that kind of the go-to, drop around the qualifying, kind of if you don't have enough time to get the track dry, and then that kind of how it works normally?
We really don't want to drop around to qualifying anytime, because if you mess up one round, and that happened to Quayne and a couple others this weekend. They had a bad pass, and so that's where they ended up at.
Right.
He didn't have no way to come.
There's normally 2 or 3 rounds.
2 rounds, 1 in each lane.
Okay.
Okay.
You won 1 in each lane, and then so that's kind of what we look at. Quayne and I talked before while it was raining, and I said, hey, we need to probably drop around to qualifying, and he agreed. So we started announcing it early so the people would know. We had the announcer get on and tell them that there'd be 1 round of qualifying, but it went well. We didn't have a whole lot of trouble. We had drive shaft problem. One guy had 2 drive shafts problem. TJ York, he had a rough weekend on that, and then something happened.
Well, when you say drive shaft problem, like what was going on?
Well, TJ, if you've ever watched TJ and Greenhorn Hillbilly, there's no one out there is rougher on their equipment than TJ.
Okay.
And so he tests everything to the limit. And I was standing right beside him, and he came out of the water, and he does big long burnouts. And when he staged up ready to leave, the car never moved, and I dropped down and looked under it, and it had pulled the drive shaft apart where the yoke was welded into.
Oh gosh!
It had just spun it out.
Man.
And so he borrowed a drive shaft, I think, from the Joker, Greg Stells. And they put it in, and then I don't know if I don't think it was anything to do with the drive shaft. I think his rear end came apart. It pulled the end of the pinion off on that one. So TJ had a rough weekend, but that was really we didn't have any oil on the track when the first time, but the second time when it did that, it bent the drive shaft and jerked it out of the transmission. So we had transmission grease on the track, but it was right there at the water box.
Gotcha. Right.
Wasn't that big a deal.
That's good.
And, but everything went smooth. Of course, like I say, we was at the 6th race out of 10, London, Kentucky, London Dragway. It's right in the middle of Daniel Boone National Forest. Absolutely beautiful track.
That's cool. That's got to be neat.
So when you come around the staging lanes, you can look down the valley down through there, and it's nothing but trees. You can't see a house anywhere, Craig and Tammy Boone, it's their track. They do an absolutely wonderful job. I always love going there. The track was just maybe as good as I've ever saw.
Really?
It was firm. It wasn't sticky. It wasn't mushy. It was just firm all day long. And it stayed that way all day long. Didn't have to touch the track. They never drugged the track or anything.
Really?
So educate me here. When you say firm, what do you mean by that? I mean, I know you said it's not sticky or mushy, but like what are you looking for with something like that?
Well, I'm not the expert on it, but just by listening to Quayne and Mitch and some of those, Gabriel, you know, they all read the track, as they say. Mitch is really good at it. Quayne's good at it. But it wasn't like if you put your foot on the track and twist your foot, it doesn't roll up under your foot.
Okay.
You know, the rubber doesn't roll up under your foot. It wasn't too sticky. Some people was saying, you know, that it wouldn't let the car turn the tires at all, so it was binding them up a little.
Might
bit.
have had something to do with drive shafts.
Yeah.
They could have. And we had Wheels Up was great this weekend. There's still a couple of guys in A-Gas that need to look at some stuff, you know, on them. I won't call no names here, but they're going to get a call on the phone. but it was great. We had great wheel stands this weekend. Not only just you know, the racers, but then I mean everyone saw Adam Lohorn's wheel stand where he was on the back bumper through third gear.
Yeah.
And so he just. It was a good track all weekend. I actually talked to Adam just a little bit ago, and he's had 3 million views of that video on TikTok.
That's great. That's just awesome.
And 200 or 300,000 likes. And you know,
I mean, what's not to like about that video?
That's exactly right. That's exactly
I mean,
right.
I mean, if Southeast Gassers needed a video to say like this is the epitome of what we're going for, this is kind of the style that we're going for. That's it. You know, it's great.
and just while we're here, we'll talk a little bit about Adam. You know, Adam is the son-in-law of Stephen Smith, which does all of our merchandising and everything.
Okay.
And that's another one of those connections that was made through Southeast Gassers. There's several of them that you know that's came out of Southeast Gassers. But he's out of Palomar, Indiana, and it's the Rod Slinger Falcon. He's been driving it since he was 15 years old. He's 26 now, so he's been in the car for 11 years. He's familiar with the car.
Yeah.
And but his dad, Mike, owns Lohorn's Garage. They do everything themselves. You know, as far as I know, you know, I don't know about the engines and stuff. I think I might know where this engine came from, but
Did you run a Ford motor in that car?
no, it's small block
Chevrolet.
Small block Chevrolet, and he started with Southeast Gassers in.
No.
They not.
I had to watch that. I was waiting for him to say something about that. I was really surprised not to hear it from back here.
Family program.
But he's been racing with Southeast Gassers since 2017, so he's been with us for 6 years now. Another one of those great families, you know. I mean, his dad comes to the track and he cooks for people on Friday night, and it's just a good time hanging around there and stuff. But DH Media, which is Dylan Horton, he does our videos.
Yeah, I wanted to mention him because I've been, you know, ever since we did this podcast the first time, digging into his stuff, man. If you haven't seen his media, the DH Media stuff on YouTube and on Facebook, gosh, he's doing some really awesome stuff. It looks so good.
He does a good job. He's had 22,000 likes and 300,000 views on Instagram on his stuff
That's
that he
great.
did on it.
Good.
And then Facebook's had 28,000 views and 1,000 likes. But you know, since we were on that, I just thought we'd go ahead and mention that and talk about that.
No, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you brought it up because you sent that to me. Right, it must have been right when it came out. You sent it over to me, and I was watching it. I just couldn't. Yeah, just thought it was great.
Yeah, he enjoys doing it, and he doesn't put anybody in danger when he's doing it. Just like if you look in the video, he was running Charlie Lee and Charlie Lee 66 Mustang, I think it is. And he lets him probably get 60 feet out before he leaves, you know. And maybe some part of that was because Friday night in Test and Tune, he did it, and he crossed and went in the other lane and went down.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's real considerate of what might happen. So you know, he's not going to set the car down on nobody or anything.
Right.
You know, so but everything went well. Like I say, you know, I mean, we had the most H-gas cars we've ever had. We had 7 this weekend, and Paul Combest in the Sauerkraut Volkswagen came out with us this weekend, and it's a bad little Volkswagen.
Yeah.
And if he's there, he's going to have to be one to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
And Doug Loudermilk in the other Volkswagen, Beelzebub, he was runner-up. But we also had Todd Hines there this weekend, and his Studebaker. Been working on it for quite some time. Paul kind of got H-Gas started several years ago, but there never was really a whole lot of interest in it until just recently. And when there got to be more interest in it, Todd Hines helped us a lot on the rules. There's still some tweaking. We had some meetings this weekend during the rain out that we talked some more about stuff, and some rules is going to be changed a little bit on some stuff. But he's got a Studebaker with it's an AMC. I think it's kind of based off like the Jeep AMC engines.
Right.
The 6 cylinders.
Oh, it's a 6. Okay.
Yeah, straight 6.
Right.
H-Gas is 4s
Right.
and 6s.
I forgot, yeah.
And he's calling it Corn Pop, One Bad Stewed.
Is he's no relation to Mike or Steve Hines?
No, it's Hines, Hinds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He's out of somewhere over around close to Nashville. I can't remember exactly where he is.
Huh.
But we had 7 cars in H-Gas this weekend. So it was actually, the most we've ever had in H-Gas. We've got more coming, several being built. Travis Fitzgerald was there, and his, I think it's 64 fleet side Chevy truck's got a 292 in it now.
Really?
Yeah. And then we've got Scott Partee, and he's ran, I think, every race with us this year. He's running a little Rambler with a 250 Chevy in it. It's got Rosie the Riveter on the door, and I think he calls it the American Woman or something like that. So,
That's good.
But it's a neat little car. It's actually the car that Rita Frazier used to drive in C-Gas.
Right.
And then Robert Frazier, her husband, he's got a Barracuda that he's been running with us. He's had a little bad luck last couple of races, but he's put down some pretty good times.
Good deal.
But we got Larry Noel. I need to mention Larry here and kind of pick on him a little bit for not being here with us yet. Larry is a past C-Gas champion in a 56 Chevy called Crazy Horse. Then he purchased the old Billy Wilson Thunder Road car, 55 Chevy, and named it Crazy Horse. Of course, painted it just like the 56. And he ran it, and then he ended up selling it and was going to get out of it. And now he's bought an Anglia, and he's building an H-Gas, and it's going to have somewhere around a 270-something cubic inch inline 6 Ford in it.
Ah,
But he's going to call it the Crazy Pony, from what I understand.
right.
But there was a little rumor going around this weekend. They was wondering if that pony wasn't lame because he hadn't showed up yet. But anyway, it's just H-Gas was good this weekend. I mean, it's going to be a good class. It's going to be kind of 750s. Somewhere in there probably. So it was probably where we'd like to see it settle out.
Right.
The Volkswagens could be faster than that, but, and like I say, Paul was number 1 and Doug Loudermilk number 2. Then going into AFX, and we talked quite a bit about AFX last show. So Robert Peffley again in the Hemi Dart. He took the win, and Alan Platt in the Georgia Shaker Falcon was second, and of course they're alcohol injected.
Okay.
But Robert dropped a valve going through the lights.
So I wanted to talk about that. I saw this. Yeah. I saw him drop a valve. He puts it up on social media, and he puts up pictures, which is also amazing because he must have took it straight home and just took it straight apart.
Mm-hmm.
Must have rolled it out of the trailer and took the engine apart. He puts up pictures of the absolute train wreck that's happened inside of this engine because of this, and he's smiling, and he said, "I'd do it again." Like, I think that's really that shows you what these guys are like, what they're about. Because I mean, it's all about racing. It's about winning. It's about the show of this whole deal. And I saw that, and I couldn't believe it because I'm just like, most people would have been devastated by this, right? I mean, it was. Did you see the pictures?
I didn't.
Carnage. I mean, it looked really bad, and he's just tickled to death. Just said, yeah, I felt it nose over, and I just kept into it and still got the win.
What engine do you have in the car?
It's a 426 Hemi with a factory block.
Ooh,
Yeah.
He was still smiling?
Oh yeah, he's tickled to death.
Wow.
Yeah.
He must have a bunch of spare parts.
Yeah. I'll let Randy keep talking. I'm gonna find the pictures real quick.
Okay.
But it's and there's no telling what they've got on Mopar parts. I'll just say that. I
Okay.
don't, but I don't really know that. But there was a valve sticking through the piston, so, but he had it apart. He had the top end of it apart, the springs and everything off from it. Later that night,
Ooh,
at the track, I
that's
was
rough.
I was up track, and he came up there with a handful of push rods and springs. It dropped a valve. But anyway, Robert's.
I ain't laughing at him.
Not at all. No, but if you
I'm
guys
kind of smiling because he's smiling.
anything that anyone that hasn't seen these pictures of what we're talking about, head over to Southeast Gassers Association on Facebook, and they've shared it, and it's the video of the pass, and then, like I said, the carnage that ensued at the end of it.
But Robert is also one of our tech guys. His dad, Dallas. Dallas is a retired shop teacher in Indiana. And then, of course, Robert has got a automotive repair shop plus a body shop there
Right.
in the same town. But I don't know how long it'll take him to get everything fixed, but we've got almost a month for the next race. So
Right.
so he may have it back together. I don't
He's
know.
smiling. He's probably got some parts laid back, I'd say.
He may have. But then going into Superstock, Rick Marner wins again with this is his 5th win out of 6.
Wow.
So far.
Wow.
Man,
And,
it's
with
on a roll there.
Big block Jeff Taylor Chevrolet engine, it's Jeff Taylor builds it for him. And then Jerry Dean, it was his 5th runner-up to Rick.
How about that?
They both, the last race they stumbled, and the Pontiac won last race, and then Jerry Dean, I think the Pontiac took Jerry Dean out. So so when Rick wins, it looks like Jerry Dean's running up.
Right.
So. But Jerry Dean is that's another deal that goes back to a big racing family. He worked for Dennis Mitchell. And, if anybody follows the old modified classes and stuff, Dennis used to dominate a lot of it.
Yep.
And then speaking of super stock, I'll go ahead and get into some of this on that. We had 4 ladies race with us this weekend, first time ever. Taylor Bright drives the Heartbreaker Barracuda in that. This is her first year in it. It's a home-built car. I don't know exactly who all worked on the car and everything, but I know I saw a lot of videos and pictures of them working on it there at their house. And her dad, Steve Bright, he's raced with us for years. And Carolina Flash, I think is what his car's called. And it's orange and white Barracuda. And but he's kind of stepped back to help Taylor, and she's getting better and better. You can just see it, and you can see her calming down, and she's not as nervous and everything. She didn't do burnouts the first couple of races, but now she's doing a good burnout and getting better all the time. But speaking of the 4 ladies we had this weekend, you got Diana Casto. She started about the same time that I started with them. I think it was the first race, if I'm correct here, it was the first race that I worked for Quayne was in 2020 in London. And Diana and Dana came out with a quick draw Falcon. And they do pretty much everything on their car. I talked to Dana earlier today, and they did everything on the car in the beginning except the lettering.
Okay.
They painted it and everything. And it's a 64 Falcon. Ford powered. They've got a new engine in it this year, and they're just easing it on it. They've kind of changed the gear in this last race and stuff. And the first year, Dana drove the car, and then the second year on Friday night, Diana would do the test and tune, practicing, and then the second year she came in. Well, her first year she was 10th in points. And then last year she was 8th in points, and she's right out of 8th right now. I think she's in 10th, but she's there's a tie along there. I think I'd have to look at it, but I think she could easily be an 8.
Gotcha.
Right now, and the Atkins Racing Head Service is helping them on their engine. I mean, they do a lot of the assembly themselves, but the machine shop work and everything. And this is, I should have wrote the name down, but it's Atkins that runs a Javelin or AMX in Superstock that helps them a lot. And he kind of critiques everything he sees on video and keeps them going and stuff. But getting into C-Gas, well, let me go ahead and talk about the other ladies too while we're here. We had Sheila Miley. This was her second race with us. She bought the old Ricky Barnes Mighty Mouse Nova from Ricky Jones, and she's brought it out, and she's doing really well. There's some nerves there and stuff, but she's going to be a contender. The car sounds great. And so I think when she gets a few under her belt there, she's going to be really good.
Right.
But this weekend we had her first race, Tasha McLemore, and that's out of the Tennessee Hillbilly Camp. They're let me see. There's Sean McLemore, Scott Butler, which is Tasha's brother, and then you've got Dennis Shepard, which AKA Opie. He's got a 64 Chevelle. And then you got Todd and Derek Napier. And they all run out of really the same camp. You know, I mean, it's like, again, another one of those great families. They come to the track and they all pit together and hang out together and just have a good time. But they bought this 55 Chevrolet. It's called Your Huckleberry. And she tested a little bit, I think, at Knoxville the weekend before the race. And she came to this race. Her first burnout was great. And she came out of the water. I was standing right there, and she came by me, and it was grin from ear to ear. And she was having a good time. Yeah, she was having a good time every time. She and she got better every pass.
Good deal.
So I mean, we've got the 4 ladies now, and 3 of them's in C-Gas.
Wow.
And so it's going to be a good time watching them come up. And then, as I was talking to Dana earlier, Diana is planning on, and they're planning on moving her up in classes. B-Gas, maybe A-Gas someday or something. So that's going to be really good, there. But we get back into C-Gas there as far as the winner. We talked a lot about Todd Oden last time because he was broke the record.
Mm-hmm.
In the 58 XX car. Well, this weekend he took the win, and he gained some points on Tim Hall, and Tim. Let me see. He left on Tim a little bit. That's how he got by Tim. Tim ran faster than him, but he got by him because of the tree.
Gotcha.
And so,
with the points in this series, is there a money prize at the end of this, or is it just how does that work with you guys?
Well, there is.
Okay.
It's, some of it is coupons from Summit.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure how it all works out
Mm-hmm.
and everything, but it's not big money.
Right.
It's just
right.
just like races. It's not big money to win. It's just people going out there and having a good time. And
I was just curious. Yeah.
Yeah.
What they always say. What's the old saying? If to make a little money racing, you better start with a whole lot of money.
A small fortune, start
Start
with a big one.
Big one, yeah.
Yeah, but he gained. I think if my calculation's right, I think he moved to second in points, moved past Ricky Jones this weekend to second in points, and gained 10 on Tim.
Gotcha.
And then Larry Cummins. Larry Cummins is Jumping Jack Flash Falcon with a 299 cubic inch small block Chevy in it, built by Doug Hopgood out of Wilson, North Carolina. But Larry's from Louisiana, and I talked to Larry earlier today, and just to kind of get some information from him. A few years ago, we were at Lassiter Mountain, and I came riding through the pits, and Quayne flagged me down and says, "Hey, come over here, you got to meet this guy." So I walk in, and he introduced me, Larry Cummins, And I thought the name sounded familiar, you know. Well, then he said, Larry, tell him your story. Somebody else walked in to talk to Quayne. He started telling me the story about, you know, him being a bred man and you know, and racing, and then he gets a call. And I said, wait a minute. I said, it seems like I've heard this before. I said, did Moser sponsor you? And he, yeah, Moser sponsored me. I said, I read this in National Dragster.
Oh,
And there was a big article on him in National Dragster.
Right.
So Larry and Linda, great, another one of those great families, racing family. His boys race. They do some of these $1 million bracket races and things and stuff. And then Britt actually runs the Gulfport, Mississippi Raceway or Dragway. We'll be going to in October. And that's part of Cruising the Coast is in that area there.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But just talking with Larry earlier today, he said in the 70s he ran a 66, 396 four-speed Chevelle was what he was running, you know. And he said, he told me today, he said, Randy, he said, I was mowing earlier, and he said, I was just thinking. He said, I've made full circle. He said, I'm back doing what I like to do. I'm driving a four-speed car.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was in the 70s. But he said in 79 to 82, along in there, he run comp. And then in 82, he ran some super stock and stock stuff. And then he got a call, and he ended up becoming part of the Budweiser super team. And that was Glenn Tinsley in super stock, Jim Van Cleef in competition eliminator, Frank Iacone in pro stock, Larry Cummins in super gas, and Kenny Bernstein in funny car.
So he ran super gas. Cummins ran super gas.
He ran super gas.
Wow.
Right.
Ran super gas.
Right.
And
What year was that?
85, 86.
Wow.
Right.
85, 86. He said he bought Ricky Smith's old pro stock IHRA car, Thunderbird, and started running it.
Right.
And it was Ford that called him, Ford and Budweiser. And I think of course, all them cars, I think, were Ford,
I remember
factory Ford stuff.
early 80s, they started talking about that super gas. Now, I may have the year wrong, but along about that time, they started running those super gas cars, and they ran 990s. And at that time, to me, a 990 car was just incredible.
Oh, yes.
You know,
Yeah.
they're still quick, but at that time, it was unheard of.
Yeah. And then he did run some competition eliminator at one time, too. Larry did.
Right.
And but that's a very expensive.
That's just
stuff
one
there.
notch below pro stock. That's where the pro stock a lot of them come from.
You know, one of the guys that is kind of associated with us is Larry Pritchard. He still runs it, and he actually won. Where did he win? He won a race this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he runs a Pontiac Grand Am, you know, and they're the little small V8s that turn 14 grand.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just, and but anyway, Larry's won 2 national events, and he's called the Godfather over in NHRA. You know, he's just been with Moser for 20 years.
Wow.
About that.
And,
That's great.
He told me today that he's as happy as he's ever been drag racing right now, with racing with us. And he said he told his kids that Saturday when he done his burnout, he was as happy there as he was that when he was going up to run for a national event.
Okay.
Wow. That's yeah.
And
That says a whole lot about it right there.
it does, you know. And we've got not just Larry. I mean, you know, we've got other guys that's got a history in really pro drag racing. You know,
Right.
that's racing with us now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's they're just out there having a good time.
Right.
He said there's nowhere else he'd rather be right now. You know, and just like I say, super. That's another one of those great families. You know, I mean, he's just fit right in. He needs to watch out hanging around that Ken Rainwater a little bit. But it's a good time. I mean, it's just everybody has a good time when they go to it. You know, and that he was runner up in sea gas, and so big gas. Ted McKee again. You know, I think he's won 5 out of 6
Wow.
himself this year. I think the only one that's beat him this year. No, I'm wrong on that. Kobe beat him one time, and Charlie Lee beat him one time. I think I may be wrong on that, but anyway, he's got a big lead in the points.
Yeah.
He's got a really good lead in the points. But Kobe Welch and Moonbeam Falcon, the Purple Falcon, they're always a contender when they show up. He won a championship last year. But we had kind of a sleeper come in on us this weekend in B-Gas.
Oh, really?
Kevin Burt, second coming Nova. He got some attention in qualifying. I think he qualified third maybe.
Wow.
And
He hadn't been racing with you regularly?
well, he's here and there. You know, he'll show up. He's not at every event and stuff.
Right.
Super guy. Doesn't say a whole lot, but just always got a smile on his face. But he was the fastest in eliminations, and then just got a little too antsy in the third round in red light. And but
What kind of car?
it's a 63 or 4 Nova. It's got one-way heads on it. And that's something I probably need to mention, too. There's Todd Oden runs all one-way stuff in his car. Jeff Jones builds his engines and stuff. And One Way was our sponsor this weekend for this race. It was sponsored by One Way Technology out of Washington, Indiana. And that's, got to go back again, another great family. They were there this weekend. Sam Jones was his father. If you look up Sam Jones, there's a lot of big racing history behind him. And then Eddie Willis kind of races out of that stable too in super stock, red 67, beautiful red 67 Camaro. And then Sheila Miley, the lady I was talking about that runs the Mighty Mouse car, is Eddie's daughter. So it's another one of those family deals. You know, we just seem to keep getting families. And then, like I say too, you know, you got Adam married Stephen Smith's daughter, so it brings more into the families and stuff. And then that's going on too. We've got a couple others. It's just another one here in the last couple of weeks got engaged. That it's 2 different families that race with us and stuff. So, but and then Charlie Lee was second in the points behind Ted McKee, but he red lighted the first round. So, you know, that let Ted just pull a little further ahead. I think he's best I remember. I think he's 55 points out now with 4 races to go.
Wow.
So it's going to be hard to catch him.
How do you guys do points with the Southeast Gas?
Well, you get show up points.
Okay.
And then you get
How many?
20.
Okay.
20, and then you get 5 for each round of qualifying, and then 5 for each win.
Okay. Gotcha.
Each round win. You get
Gotcha.
5 for that. So, and then another thing is when I was saying that he's like 55 ahead, no one else has had the chance to get that because B-Gas, there's so many show up, we have makeup rounds. You know, sometimes we've had 28, 26, you know, cars in that round, you know, in that class. And then you're going through, you have to say, hey, well, you know, we're going to have to run an extra round in B. So what we do is we slip them back in there. They run an extra round, and then they have to cool off quick and get back.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, so, but that's how, you know, so, you know, instead of getting, you know, the normal 5 points, they do the extra round and they get 10 points and they win both those rounds.
Right.
You know,
Gotcha.
So,
Right.
So that's another way that they can pull ahead a little bit. And then, of course, Colby is a Ford. It's Ford powered. It's Cleveland headed Ford, and then Ted McKee is a Fulton small block. And unless he's changed something, I think it's the old Pontiac NASCAR style heads. That
Really?
he runs.
Wow.
Yeah, that was real popular in NASCAR. What, 90s?
Yep.
Probably.
Best I can remember.
Yeah, but and then going into A-Gas, you remember I talked about Gabriel before. Gabriel's tough anyway, and now he's got some horsepower and speed, and so he won, and but I just kind of jotted down. He had Quayne first round. You know, I told you Quayne messed up and didn't get a good pass in his qualifying round, so he was last. So Gabe's first qualifier, so he gets Quayne first round. Well, he takes Quayne out. He gets second round bye. Yeah. And then he gets Mitch the third round. Mitch stopped, Quayne's brother. In a frequent flyer 63 split window Corvette. And two, you know, I mean, a lot of people probably don't realize that this, it's a real 63 split window Corvette.
Wow.
Oh, it's a real.
Oh, it's a real
Really?
car. It's a
Oh,
real
man.
car.
Really?
We don't allow.
Has it always been a race car?
No. Well, now it may have. Someone told me that Dave bought that car out of Canada or somewhere. I'm not sure about that. He
Right.
bought that car out of Canada, and it had been a race car.
Ah.
But it is a top of the line car. I mean,
Wow.
I've been all over the car, under the car, around the car. It is. But see, a Corvette aftermarket body's not allowed with us.
Ah, okay.
So it
has to be a
has
real
to
car.
be a
real
I got
car.
you.
Man.
You know, and so, but I mean, it's a really nice
It's a
car.
neat. Those are neat cars.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is. It is. And Mitch red lights.
Ah,
Yeah, I can't remember the numbers on the red light, but he red lighted. So Gabe gets, you know, not to say that Gabe might not have took him out anyway, but you know, the red was there.
they run pretty close times.
Yeah.
Mitch and
Yeah, they were this weekend.
Right.
They were this weekend. And A-Gas, we only had 9 or 10 cars this weekend, and probably 8 of those cars were real close, you know, within a tenth
right.
Wow.
of each other. And so every round was like a final.
Right.
You know, I mean, you know,
Had to step up.
yeah.
Yep.
So then he gets Kenneth Phillips in 58 Silver Streak 2 with
Corvette.
yeah, Fulton small block in it, 58 Corvette, real car again, and he red lights. So Gabe gets he had one race to win, you know. Of course, he ran good. Every pass that he got red light against, he he still ran a good time, but he was he got the breaks, I guess you could say.
Right.
You know, he was lucky. He had the horseshoe
Gotta be
or whatever you want.
Sometimes you just got to be lucky.
Yeah.
I'd rather be lucky than good any day.
You get a quick car, and some people sometimes it'll get in people's
Oh, it
head. They'll
does.
try to
Yeah, oh yeah.
try to take every advantage they can, you know, which they have to, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, you see that all the time in this. You see that quite often in this. You know, if you according to who they're going up with, the nerves come up.
Yeah.
Of course, it would.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, you guys have some like powerhouses in racing. Sounds like, you know, I mean, just the people that you have involved there. It'd be easy to get intimidated
Oh, yeah.
pulling up on the starting line.
yeah, I mean, you know, you got Quayne, which is pro mod champion, been
Exactly.
racing all of his life. You know. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the story on Quayne is he ended up getting a 67 or 68 Camaro when he was, I don't know, the age 16, 17, 18 years old, whatever, and a week or two later he cut it up and made a race car out of it. You know? But you know, and then his Mitch, his brother's right there with him, and then it runs in the family. Actually, Chris, his younger brother, made a couple of hits in the Anglia this weekend on
Oh, really?
Friday night. Yeah, he liked it.
Did he?
He said he wanted to do some more of it. but that's you know, that's pretty much what happened this weekend. You know, it was all good though. I mean, you know, everything went well. No hiccups, no electronics malfunctions or
Good.
anything like that. They've got really good equipment at London Dragway.
That's great.
And
If you can come out of a weekend where you ended up with a rain delay and still talk about how good it was, you know it was definitely a really good
Yeah.
weekend of racing.
yeah, it was okay. And then of course our next race is look on that schedule there, Mike. Make sure I don't get the wrong date on it. But we'll be in Xenia, Ohio at the Killcare
8/12.
on
It's
the
August
12th.
12th.
August 12th.
So we'll be there the 13th for test and tune, and then the 12th. Is that right? The 12th?
Yeah, the 12th.
Yeah, the 12th we'll be there for race day.
Race day's the 12th.
And that's another really good track. A lot of
Say test and tune on the 11th.
the 11th.
11th and then the 12th,
Yeah,
race day.
I think I said
Right.
the 13th. Didn't
Yeah,
I?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it'll be the 11th. We'll be test and tune on Friday and racing on Saturday the 12th.
Right.
And then they
And how, you said this Xenia?
Xenia.
Xenia. Okay.
And I may have messed that up too.
I just want to make sure I say it right.
But it's Killcare Dragway is what it is.
Okay.
And, you got Ron Vance, it's a manager up there. he does a good job. It's always a good time going to Ohio up there. I enjoy it. The fans are great up there. I guess it was year before last. I was under Leslie Horn's car at post-race inspection.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually laying on the ground under his car, and all of a sudden there's a lady sticks her head under the car. And she says, "I just wanted to thank y'all for coming here." She said, and I just kind of slid out and started talking to her, and she said, "He told me not to do that, but," she said, "I just had to thank you guys." She said, "I wanted to thank one of the officials for y'all being
That means
here."
a lot. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Yeah, for
But
sure.
I mean, they're good. I mean, I can't remember. Leslie told me after, he was there when that happened, and he told me that I think he sold 50 T-shirts that weekend.
Wow.
How about
Something
that?
like that.
That's great.
Gave quite a few of them away to kids and stuff.
Mhm.
Right.
That you see that a lot too. They'll give the kids T-shirts and
Right.
stuff,
Right.
and you see a lot of that. You see a lot of kids getting their pictures taken.
Youngers
in
don't
cars.
forget stuff like that.
No.
Either.
No.
I remember my Warren Johnson hat. That's still, that's very distinct. I remember getting that when I was just a
Warren
little
signed
kid.
It.
Yeah.
Warren signed
Yep.
it for him, so he forgot it.
No.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Well, I took Jeff to Bristol one time. Bucky had something to do. And people that don't know, Bucky Edmonds, my brother, and his son Jeff, he was, I don't know, 11, 12 years old, something like that, and he got WJ's autograph.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's a rarity.
Yeah.
Like it was, you had to really work to get his autograph. He was all business. He wasn't there to sign autographs usually.
Yeah.
Well, good deal, Randy, man. I really appreciate you coming on with us today. I appreciate you, picking shift points to kind of do these recaps with. And for everybody that's watching, definitely let us know. Say something in the comments of anything else that you want to hear. Like I said, we want to give you guys what you want to hear. And I really like hearing these recaps. I can follow it along on social media and stuff like that. But hearing Randy step through it and talk about the names and putting that information out there is really good for me. So appreciate you guys doing that. We are planning to be there at the Knoxville race in September. So we're going to come, I think we're going to come try and do kind of a shift points goes to Sega,
Great,
so we'll
that'd be
head
good.
there and do, my plan is to kind of do just what one of these events look like fully from a fan perspective. So it's been so long since I've got to go to one. It'll be really all kind of new to me and fresh, so it'll be interesting, and I'm going to hope to be able to hopefully talk to some of the racers and things like that. Maybe we can put some faces and some pictures of these cars out there that we're talking about each time. So we appreciate it very much. And like I said, August the 12th in Xenia, Ohio at the Killcare Raceway. So that's the next event, and we'll have another one of these special episodes after that one.
Yes.
And like I said, definitely let us know if there's anything else you want to hear. Maybe we can get Quayne to call in next time. Maybe that'd be good.
That'd be real
I'd like
good.
to talk to Quayne a little bit and see how he thinks about all this stuff too. So that would be really interesting. So if that's everything, you good?
That's good. If you got any questions, we'll try our best to answer them.
For sure.
Just make them in the comments, and we'll see what we can do about them.
Yep. And so if you've listened to this and kind of got the recap, head over to DH Media. Like I said, he's going to have he does full video coverage of these events. You can go through and watch pretty much, I think you can watch every round.
Yeah.
I think he videos every round. You go over there and head over there and look at his stuff. And on the Southeast Gassers page, like I said, that stuff is really good. And you can sit there and watch the whole race. I don't know exactly when he gets those out, but should be out anytime now, I guess. So head over there and make sure to hit the subscribe button if you like what we talked about, and if you found us because of the Southeast Gassers, man, we really appreciate you coming
Yes, sir.
and being here. And make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're putting up a bunch of different stuff about everything that we're doing on our YouTube channel. So we appreciate Randy coming in and appreciate him picking us to help talk about these race recaps. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.
Thank you.